What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to examine X-Men issue 126, brought to you by these fine folks. This issue, the X-Men are hurrying to Muir Island because whenever Scott called Polaris at the end of the previous issue, she screamed, "Something is wrong." So the X-Men rush to Muir Island. They don't even bring the Beast with them, even though he said he wanted to go with them. And the first half of this issue kind of plays like a horror movie. They're exploring Muir Island. The power is out. There's some kind of threat here. We don't know what it is. We don't really know the layout of this building. Someone might be trying to kill us. We don't know how many people there are still on the island. Very much feels like a horror movie vibe. But pretty quickly, the X-Men round up everyone who was there at Muir Island. It's more or less a happy reunion. The only casualty of Proteus escaping from his cell was one of Jamie Madrox's clones. This, by the way, is before the idea that each clone kind of has their own unique personality. That is something that Peter David really latches onto in his second X Factor run. But at this point, I guess each clone is pretty much just exactly like Jamie Prime. And so when one of those clones is killed, Jamie feels it somehow, but it's not as bad as if somebody else had died, I guess, if I can sound a little bit callous for a minute. But Scott, he says, like, I sent everyone to go scout out the island, make sure everything's fine. I want to be alone with Jean whenever we're reunited. And then he sees her, he's kind of leaning over her, and she's unconscious. As she's waking up, she says, "Jason, I knew you would save me," because Jason Wingard is messing with Jean's mind. We see that a little bit here when all the X-Men are exploring the island. She thinks that she's in the middle of a fox hunt from like the 1800s. And once again, I'm not really sure when Jason Wingard's powers changed like this. Jean is supposed to be the most powerful mutant on the planet, maybe even in the galaxy, but for some reason, Jason says she's also the most vulnerable of the X-Men. I don't understand how someone this powerful is not able to sense somebody is influencing my mind from a distance. Maybe she doesn't know who's doing it, but I don't understand how she's not picking up on that if she is as powerful as these issues are saying that she is. But Jason is trying to wear her down, and at one point, Proteus, who is able to possess people, and then I guess he is made of pure energy. Cue that song where Leonard Nimoy says, "Pure energy." I guess he burns out the hosts of his energy form, so he needs to constantly be jumping from one body to another. He sees Jason Wingard leaving a pub, and he's about to try and possess him, but there is a psychic shield covering Jason Wingard. And I've mentioned this in my video on issue 125, but Jason Wingard's powers should not be that powerful. He is not psychic in the same way that Professor X, Jean Grey, or Psylocke or Emma Frost are. He can cast illusions, but that's about it. And even what he's doing in these issues seems much more powerful than what he was capable of doing back in the 60s. And I talked about that already, but he has a psychic shield. I can only assume that Emma Frost, who is a member of the Hellfire Club at this point, that she is protecting him. I don't know why, because as we will find out when we get into the Dark Phoenix saga, I am pretty sure Jason Wingard is not yet an actual member of the Hellfire Club. He is basically going through his initiation. I guess somebody came up with the idea of if you can corrupt Phoenix and you can defeat the X-Men, then you can join the Hellfire Club. And so he is trying to enter their ranks, but he is not yet a full-fledged member. So I don't know why Emma Frost would cast a psychic shield around Wingard, and that's the only thing I can think of that would be providing this protection for him. But also, I don't really know why the Hellfire Club is gunning for the X-Men, since they haven't had any prior contact with him, but we'll get to that whenever we get to it. But anyway, The X-Men, they split up to go and look for Proteus, and I do like that the stakes are pretty high here. Cyclops says he's probably going to one of the big cities to kind of feed on humans, where there's a whole lot of them, and there's like 4 big cities that he could have gone to, so it's not going to be super easy for the X-Men. And Moria says, she does reveal that Proteus is her son, and she says he is weak against metal. And this is where I'm starting to not like this storyline. Proteus feels like a DC Comics character that accidentally got stuck in the Marvel Universe. We see that he is able to bend reality, like completely disorient Nightcrawler and Wolverine. Nightcrawler thinks that he's breaking up into pieces, and then like he is literally changing the fabric of space-time around these guys. It's not like Mastermind where he makes them think that they're falling into pieces or whatever. He is actually changing reality, and then he has that one convenient weakness. This feels very much like in DC Comics, where Superman has like hundreds of powers, and then there's Kryptonite, that one weakness. Or Green Lantern has the powers of a god, but either the color yellow or anything made of wood is going to be ineffective against him, or he is going to be ineffective against that. So, you know, if it's a giant yellow airplane, Hal Jordan can't save it from crashing or whatever. And that always felt more DC Comics to me than Marvel, and so it's weird to me that Proteus has that one weakness. Metal, all metal apparently, anything made of metal will weaken him. It can imprison him or it can kill him, as Moria says. And I don't know how she knows that because he's not dead. Yes, she would know that it can imprison him. I don't know how she knows it would kill him. And I'm assuming maybe they came up with this here because A, they have created someone so powerful and they need a way to defeat him later on, but also he was imprisoned in the cell on Muir Island for years, and so they probably asked themselves, why didn't he escape before now if he is so powerful? So they came up with the idea of, well, he was trapped in a metal room and he couldn't get out. But this still feels more like something that would happen like a 12th dimensional being escapes to Earth and wants to destroy this universe, and the one thing that is strong against him is metal. That feels like something from like a 1970s Justice League comic. I can't think of any mutants in the Marvel Universe who have a specific weakness. Like, you know, if you throw Copper up against Storm, then that nullifies her powers or something like that. Yes, Storm is claustrophobic, but that is a human foible and weakness that Aurora has. That is not a weakness of her mutant abilities. You have, like, Magic, who has to teleport to Limbo whenever she uses her teleporting powers, but that's not necessarily a weakness. That is a downside of her using her powers, because Limbo is a dangerous place, but it's not a weakness like, I have the powers of a god, except when it comes to metal. It feels like if you're playing a role-playing game, like Pokemon, fire Pokemon are weak against water, water Pokemon are weak against grass, and grass Pokemon are weak against fire, and then rock Pokemon are weak against water, etc. And it feels like that. Like, well, we have to create a system of checks and balances so that it's fair for everybody, but that's not how real life works necessarily. So that is what I kind of hinted at in my video on 125 about how I wasn't crazy about how this storyline ended, but I definitely liked the lead up to it. And this issue, I do like that the stakes feel very high. This doesn't feel like, you know, if the X-Men are going to be fighting Mesmero, they could pretty easily defeat Mesmero. Yes, he can hypnotize them, but then blindfold Wolverine and he can smell and hear Mesmero because his senses are heightened, and then he can just go after the guy by himself. So this feels like a legitimate threat for the X-Men to be facing. This doesn't feel like, oh, we've been here before, it's the Brotherhood again. Even someone like Magneto, who this group of X-Men hasn't really had a successful victory against Magneto, whenever they fight him, I don't feel like there's any real danger, where I do feel that with Proteus. Having said that, I also have some significant problems with this. I wish that this Proteus wasn't quite as powerful. Maybe he is only messing with the senses of the X-Men, and he's not actually warping reality. Maybe he can be killed by, like if Storm just kept hitting him with lightning bolts, eventually that would kill him, something like that. I don't necessarily need him to have godlike powers and then some incredibly convenient weakness like you would have with a DC Comics character. So that is about all that I have to say about this issue. The X-Men, I guess I should say the X-Men do find Proteus, and then he is about about to possess Storm. He can't possess Nightcrawler because Nightcrawler doesn't look human, and he wants to blend in with crowds so that he can find his next victim. He can't possess Wolverine because Wolverine has, according to him, about $3 million of adamantium in his body. So he's about to possess Storm, who has already said, I can't kill him, I will not take a life, I refuse to do that. So that's where this issue ends. And so I will examine another issue in the future. In the meantime, let's consider this one, Examine.